Hello students, today we will learn about coordination and control. Why do we need coordination and control? We have always associated living things with movement. Think of all the living things and how they respond to their surroundings. When a cat spots a mouse, how does it move towards it and is able to catch it? How plants grow towards sunlight, how tendrils curl and grow around a support, why we blink our eyes, immediately if there is dust, or we apply brakes of a car when we are driving a car and an animal comes in front of the car. Why do we close our eyes when we see bright light? Why do living organisms respond in this manner? All of this is to protect the living organism and allow the organism to grow and survive in its environment. Living organisms respond to stimuli by making use of hormones, specialized tissues, nervous system to coordinate and control. Why do animals need a nervous system? In animals and human beings, control and coordination are provided by nervous and muscular tissues. If we touch a hot object, what do? हम क्या करते हैं जब हम एक गर्म वस्तु को छूते हैं? We respond by taking away our hands. For this, we need to detect the hot object and respond to it. हमें ये मालूम होने चाहिए कि ये जो गर्म चीज़ है और क्या यानी हमें अपना हाथ हटा लेने चाहिए इससे. There are specialized tissues present in the skin, which is a sense organ. This helps in detection of the hot object, and the nervous system, which receives the information, responds accordingly. If you remember the nerve cell, how it looks like, you remember that there is a main part which is known as the cell body, which moves on to the axon, and it has got the nerve endings. All of the structure of this neuron is going to help in the movement of the nerve impulse. How do the specialized tissues respond? All information is detected by specialized tips of some nerve cells. These receptors are usually located in our sense organs, such as the inner ear, the nose, the tongue, skin, and so on. Now, if we see, the tongue has got these gustatory receptors. We have the taste buds, and these taste buds are present on the tongue. Here you can see the gustatory receptor. So gustatory receptors will detect taste. What about olfactory receptors? What do? Where are they found? They are found in the nose and they detect smell. Thermoreceptors, they are specialized nerve cells. They are found in the skin and they detect temperature difference. See, these are the olfactory receptors. As you can see, the olfactory bulb, and this messages will be sent to the brain. Thermoreceptors, these are present in the skin. They detect how hot or cold an object is. The information is acquired at the end of the dendritic tip of the nerve cell, as shown in the figure. This sets off a chemical reaction that creates an electrical impulse. As you can see over here, this is the cell body. It is going to be having the branch structure which is known as the dendrite. The impulse travels from the dendrite to the cell body and then along the axon to the end. At the end of the axon, the electrical impulse sets off release of some chemicals. These chemicals cross the gap or the synapse and start a similar electrical impulse in a dendrite of the next neuron. This is the general scheme of how nerve impulses travel in the body. A similar synapse finally allows delivery of such impulses from neurons in other cells, such as the muscle cells or the gland. Over here, you can see this is the special type of neuromuscular tissues. Now, what is a reflex action? Sometimes, when we see dust coming towards us or an object is falling towards us, we often blink our eyes. We apply brakes if someone suddenly crosses the road and we are driving a car. We pull our hand away from a hot object or maybe a sharp object. When we enter a room which is having bright light, we immediately try to constrict the size of the pupil. Sudden jerky withdrawal of hand or leg when it is pricked by a pin. Coughing or sneezing when an irritant enters the nasal passage, and so on. Now, actually, reflex action should occur. The action, if there is going to be any change in the environment, the body has to respond quickly and it has to respond in such a way that we are able to protect our body. Now, if this were that the message reaches the brain and then the brain will think and it will send the message to the organ, it will be too late. By then, the harm will be done. So, all of these, as you have seen, are the examples of reflex action. So, what is a reflex action? Why do we call this as reflex action? A reflex action is an automatic involuntary action of an organ or muscle in response to stimuli. A reflex is made possible by neural pathways called reflex arc, which can act on an impulse before the impulse reaches the brain. The message does reach the brain, however, the action is going to be fast enough in order to protect ourselves. As you can see, we are touching a hot object. Now, if the impulse was to be sent to the brain and then the brain thinks, and after that then it moves away the hand, till then the damage would be done. But instead of that, actually what happens, the information that we are touching a hot object is passing through a neural arc, the reflex arc, and then the action will be done at the effector organ. So, why reflex arc? Certain actions in our body should be suddenly made in response to the change in the environment. These changes may harm our body if we do not take away or we do not act immediately. Now, our thinking tissue is made up of dense network of intricately arranged neurons. It is found in the front part of the skull and it receives signals from all over the body, which it thinks about before responding to them. Obviously, in order to receive these signals, this thinking part of the brain in the skull must be connected to nerves coming from various parts of the body. Similarly, if this part of the brain is to instruct muscles to move, nerves must carry this signal back to different parts of the body. If this were to occur, so when we touch a hot object, it will take enough time for us to be बर्न्ड। तो क्या होगा, अगर ये सिग्नल्स टाइम से नहीं पहुंचते हैं, इफेक्टर ऑर्गन पे नहीं पहुंचेंगे और हम लोग जल्दी से अपना हाथ नहीं हटाएंगे अगर हम कोई गर्म वस्तु को छूते हैं, तो नुकसान हो जाता है। तो एक शॉर्ट पाथवे होने चाहिए, जो शॉर्ट पाथवे है ये जल्दी से जल्दी रिफ्लेक्स आर्क से होते हुए वो इफेक्टर ऑर्गन में पहुँचे और हम हाथ तुरंत हटाएं। ये इसका रिफ्लेक्स आर्क है, पहले भी देख रखा है हम लोग ने। ये देखिए कि ये पर्सन जो है ये हॉट ऑब्जेक्ट को छू रहा है। अब क्या है, ये इंफॉर्मेशन सेंसरी न्यूरॉन से जाएगा, एक इंटरमीडिएट न्यूरॉन के थ्रू ये पास होगा और ये आपके इफेक्टर ऑर्गन यानी मसल के तरफ जाएगा, जिससे हम अपना हाथ खींच लेते हैं। और ये जो रिफ्लेक्स आर्क है ये आपके स्पाइनल कॉर्ड में प्रेजेंट है। तो यानी कि रिफ्लेक्स आर्क आपका समय भी बचाता है और टाइमली आपको मदद भी करता है। हाउ इज़ आवर बॉडी डिज़ाइंड मेड इन ऑर्डर टू सॉल्व दिस प्रॉब्लम? सच अ प्रॉब्लम कैन बी सॉल्व बाय द रिफ्लेक्स आर्क। तो इसके समस्या का हल जो है एक रिफ्लेक्स आर्क होता है। इफ़ द nerves that detect the heat were connected to the nerves that move the muscles in a simpler way, the process of detecting the signal or input and responding to it by output action might be completed quickly. Such a connection is commonly called the reflex arc. तो अगर ये कनेक्शन होता, यानी जहाँ पर ये सेंसेशन हो रहा है, जो स्किन पे बदलाव आ रहा है, एनवायरनमेंट पे बदलाव आ रहा है, वो तुरंत ये मैसेज स्पाइनल कॉर्ड में से, ये रिफ्लेक्स आर्क में से होते हुए ये इफेक्टर ऑर्गन में पहुंच जाता है। तो इससे समय भी बचता है और उसका एक्शन तुरंत होता है। वेयर आर दीज रिफ्लेक्स आर्क्स लोकेटेड? ये होते कहाँ हैं? These reflex arcs should be at a place where they meet each other. Nerves from all over the body meet in a bundle in the spinal cord on their way to the brain. Reflex arcs are found in the spinal cord itself. Although information input also reaches the brain. यानी ये रिफ्लेक्स आर्क है, ये स्पाइनल कॉर्ड में पाए जाते हैं, ताकि बहुत सारे नर्व्स इसमें बंडल की बंडल नर्व सेल्स, नर्व फाइबर्स पाए जाते हैं। तो मैसेज आएगा तुरंत, ये रिफ्लेक्स आर्क में से होके इफेक्टर ऑर्गन में पड़ेगा और हम उसके हिसाब से अपना काम करेंगे। मैसेज तो पहुंचता है ब्रेन में, बट सिर्फ मैसेज पहुंचता है और बाकी काम स्पाइनल कॉर्ड में रिफ्लेक्स आर्क के थ्रू हो जाता है। Reflex arcs have evolved in animals because thinking processes of the brain is not fast enough in most of the animals. आपको मालूम होगा कि एनिमल्स में उतना थिंकिंग पार्ट नहीं होता है और उनको अपने बचाव के लिए या जो शिकार करते हैं, जिनको शिकार करते हैं, तो उन तुरंत उनके अंदर एक्शन होने चाहिए। उसके लिए ये रिफ्लेक्स आर्क काम में आते हैं। तो ये इनका जो रिफ्लेक्स आर्क है वो ज़्यादा डेवलप्ड होते हैं। एंड द वेरी लिटिल और नन ऑफ द कॉम्प्लेक्स न्यूरॉन नेटवर्क नीडेड बाय थिंकिंग, यानी वो ज़्यादा सोचने के लिए इनके पास में वो न्यूरॉन या कॉम्प्लेक्स न्यूरॉन नेटवर्क नहीं होता है, बल्कि इनके पास वेल डेवलप्ड ये आपके रिफ्लेक्स आर्क्स होते हैं। सो इट इज़ quite likely that the reflex arc have evolved as efficient ways of functioning in the absence of true thought processes. However, even after the complex neuron networks have come into existence, reflex arcs continues to be more efficient to quick responses. यानी रिफ्लेक्स आर्क का फ़ायदा ये है कि वो तुरंत रिस्पॉन्ड करता है ताकि वो जो लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म उसको ज़्यादा नुकसान ना हो। Thank you.